Call the meeting of Wastewater Study Committee to order, January 23rd at 3:07 p.m. Roll call vote for attendance. Sam Stivers here, Alan Balniak,
Here.
Al Hamilton,
Here.
Claire Reynolds,
Here.
and that's a quorum, 4 out of the 7 members, so we'll proceed here. And again, Andrew, you're certainly welcome to hang in here and participate as we get warmed up for this. But I expect that the rest of the crowd will be here at 3:30, we hope. So we'll see what happens there.
Okay. I might just turn off my video then.
Okay.
Video and audio.
Party on.
I'm just I'm in listening mode.
Okay, good.
He wants to comb his hair.
So what I wanted to do is sort of run through my plan for how we're going to proceed with this thing. We've got an interesting group. The senator's office has 2 people here. One is Immaculate McHome is now his chief of staff, I found out. And Megan Serino is the one I've been communicating with. She's the constituent affairs director. So I expect all 3 of them, but I'm not sure. DEP, you've got James Lyons, Mary Jude Pigsley, and Robin McNamara. I don't know any of them, but I do know that McNamara is actually the one who manages their SRF, their state revolving funds stuff through the Division of Municipal Services. So that's potentially an important contact for us. So it'll be interesting to see what she has to say. And the Clean Water Trust, Nathaniel Keenan and Kaylin Felmuth, they again are involved with the the state revolving fund. So again, my questions for them is along the lines of, what do we need to do to qualify for that money, and how you go about applying? Is there, what kind of lead time is involved, and those kind of details? I think it'd be interesting. And then the MWA representative, Andre Downs, that we just saw there, that the Wastewater Advisory Committee is sort of a strange beast. They advise the directors of MWA actually don't seem to have a whole lot of leverage, or they don't have money to give out. So my guess is that Eldridge's office sent out the call, who can you send from the MWA, and they held up their hand and said we're available. So I don't know if I'm chosen as the first choice, but they have some useful comments, so we'll see what she has to say. So my plan from a process standpoint is to welcome everybody, then introduce folks around the room, and then give a 1-minute summary of why we're here and what we expect to get out of the meeting. And then turn it over to Al to do he's got 3 slides that talks about what we've done so far to date to not replow plowed ground there. The group needs to understand, I think, some of the things we've done, not done, et cetera, as a basis for our conversation.
Sam, you're more than welcome to do that presentation if you wish.
I'm happy to have you do it.
Okay.
Well, yeah. And then hopefully that's less than 10 minutes, because I think it's fairly succinct. It's 3 slides. And Al needs screen sharing capability too, if you will, please, with that one.
I will enable that.
And so, and then my sort of ask here of the group, when we get to the discussion point, will be a couple of things. One, suggestions for other ways we might be should be thinking about this process, that we haven't been given Al a summary of what we've done, and more particularly suggestions for sources of funding for the project, which to me is the really tricky one. And that as I looked at the numbers a little bit, we've thrown out numbers of something like 30 to 50 million bucks to get this thing done. Even with the SRF loan program, we're talking about a couple of $1 million a year in loan payments, which, as we all know, we don't have at this point. And so the question is, how do we figure out how to get that done? Are there other creative solutions out there? And given the mood of the crowd at town meeting and the election with the school project, another couple $1 million a year for funding ask is going to be a really steep hill to climb. So I'll be interested to see if folks have any suggestions about how we deal with that. The only other thought I had on that one is if we can identify interesting projects that are substantial, like this Atlantic Management project, the expected tax revenue from that, I think, I can't remember, I've heard a number like maybe a couple $1 million a year or something like that incrementally. if they.
Or something, I think, right?
Or
So
more.
so we have to, I think carefully. I actually did do an assessment. I looked at now just starting with the single big box store.
Yep,
Those tend to be assessed at between 20 and $30 million. And, which would generate $300,000 to $400,000 of tax revenue from
That's cool.
that single store. Now, so we would need, a multiple development, a la the Northborough Crossing or
Yep.
Something along, or the big complex in Marlborough on 20.
right,
But that there certainly are, there is the potential for seven figures.
yep. And that one is particularly interesting because they don't need wastewater. So if somehow they can come up with a substantial bump in the tax revenue and use that as the seed for investment in the system, that would be wonderful. And Al, I agree with your numbers, although I've heard Atlantic talk about much bigger numbers. And so they seem to be pretty capable people. So I don't quite know where they're getting their numbers in terms of tax payments.
Well, I assume that they're really talking about sort of at build out.
Full build out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I think we ought to continue to ask is, most of the wastewater systems that have been installed in the state in the last 50 years had, substantial federal subsidies.
Right.
And, I hope against hopes that there are some sources of subsidy
Yeah.
out there. We ought to at least ask.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
I'm not counting on it for sure.
Yeah, no, neither am I. And that may be a deal breaker.
Yeah. Could
I,
be.
I think the principle that, the users are going to end up paying for most of this is something we really need to focus on. We got lots of work to do.
Yeah.
Let me just ask a stupid question. How do I share a screen?
So on the lower left,
Yeah.
do you see a green button with a up arrow in it?
Yep.
Click that, and then it's going to prompt you what you want to share, either an entire screen or a specific application.
Why don't we
I'm going to
practice
try.
that?
I'm going to try that for just a
Yeah,
second, if you don't
okay.
mind.
Yep. And then you have to click share
Yep.
once you
It's
select
working.
it.
There you go.
All right.
Now that's in PowerPoint edit mode. So you're going to want to either press F5 or go to
Yeah.
slideshow mode.
Yeah. We'll just do F5. Well, hang on. There we go. Slideshow from the beginning.
You got
All
it. There you
All
go.
right. And then I can hit stop here. All right. I'm now a qualified operator.
Fantastic. He's armed. and dangerous.
That's right.
Never should have showed him that, actually.
Yeah.
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 Shout, Alan, you lose your job.
That's right.
Happy.
Please,
happy
please.
advocate the controls.
You've created a lethal weapon here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You
sure
know, I
have.
like PowerPoints.
Yeah. So anyway, so that to me is the plan here. See what these guys might suggest. And again, to Al's point, if there are ways that folks have seen that these systems have been funded, that would be extremely interesting. I don't think many towns out there are in our position these days, frankly, in terms of starting from scratch with a system and trying to go full bore here. But maybe there are, and maybe there's a model that would.
Yeah.
I think Bob
Did we-
Moss has mentioned there's Cape towns that are somehow getting funding support because of the situation relative to groundwater there and discharges, but we're not in that position. So Brian is locked out of the Zoom meeting.
Yes, he is. Give me 1 second.
He's not an attendee.
I know, because I've locked the webinar to prevent anyone else from joining, because
Okay.
we've just, per Jay's suggestion, the presenter link has been distributed to everyone, and that's not the way to go about this.
Okay.
So let me unlock the meeting. You can suggest to Brian he try to rejoin. There he is. Once he comes in, I'll relock the meeting.
Okay. Nobody else waiting?
Hey, it's me.
I do not see him. Hey, Brian.
Hey there. Hey, Brian, sorry, we had a couple of wrinkles here in terms of getting the meeting set up. The Eldridge's people wanted to host it, and then they decided they didn't. And that created a little dance to get the time set for us versus them at 3:30. So
Got it.
hopefully we will all be on board here shortly. Brian, we're talking briefly about the agenda here. I'm going to facilitate the discussion, start out with introductions from people, then do the 1-minute overview of why we're here and what we want to accomplish. And then Al has 3 slides to talk about what the committee has done to date, set the stage a little bit. And the folks that will be attending, it's not totally clear. I've not gotten a clear picture from Eldridge's staff about exactly who they expect to show up. But the Eldridge people, I think the senator will be here, but I'm not sure. A couple of staff people with him, 3 DEP representatives. And I don't think they have any money, but they're useful from a process standpoint.
We could turn them upside down and shake their pockets and
Shake
find
their
out.
pockets, check their car seats and- Exactly.
You're the tallest, Brian. You can do it.
Yeah, got it.
Couple of people from the Mass Clean Water Trust. They actually have money through the state revolving fund thing, so they're going to be interesting to talk with. One of the DEP people, this Robin McNamara, Director of Division of Municipal Services, they're also involved with the SRF revolving fund money. So it's not clear to me exactly who really controls that, but that would be an interesting conversation there. And then we have an MWRA representative, Andre Downs, who is with the Executive Director of the Wastewater Advisory Committee, which I don't think of as being all that powerful in the sense they advise the board of directors, but they don't have any money. As far as I know, my speculation was that Eldridge reached out to MWRA and says, can you send somebody? And they raised their hand and said, yeah, I'm available. So we'll see what she has to say. She's helpful usually, but I don't think she's got much money
Yeah.
to give. So
You never know. She might find a way to open the door for us, but I,
can't.
we can ask.
That's right, absolutely. And so that's the plan. And again, the bulk of the conversation, I think, is around can we think of better ways to address this issue? And can we find sources of funding that we haven't tracked down yet that can allow us to bootstrap the process? We talked briefly, Brian, about this Atlantic management project and the Dell property out there that's going to generate some reasonable tax revenue. The good news is they don't need wastewater capacity. So if we had somebody like that who could start generating significant tax revenue quickly, and then use that to fund the development cost here. If we're talking about 30 to 50 million bucks worth of development cost, that at a reasonable borrowing rate, that's at least a couple $1,000,000 annual debt service, which I'm not eager to go to town meeting and ask for that kind of missing.
Mhm.
So I still haven't figured out how we bootstrap ourselves with getting this thing up off the ground. So that's a challenge, but hopefully maybe somebody here has an idea or two. So that's sort of where we are. And then we'll do 3:30 to 4:30 with them, and then we'll do an executive session to talk a little bit about privately owned sites to continue our previous conversation about that. So
Sam?
Yep.
If they ask the group if we are going to start pursuing the road of getting a diff set up, do we have some kind of a answer?
I think we're interested in that. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
think-
with a start with a summertime timeframe?
Yep.
We're halfway through the summer, but that's okay.
Yeah, the next
Wow.
step is to talk with the deaf people that we've actually already had an initial conversation with. Get back to them and start mapping that out. So that to me is almost regardless of what happens here. I think that would be great to start working on.
Okay.
So,
Well, I think that goes to answer not answer, but address your question, Sam, is like, if we are loath to go to town meeting to ask for 30, 40, $50 million, I think the bootstrap would be to investigate the diff, right? Because we're not asking for money out of pocket. Although I think you were saying previously, there is still an upfront cost to develop the plant itself.
yeah, the diff
Yeah.
helps us once we've got people there with increased
Right.
assessment values. So we still we got a bootstrap problem, unfortunately. There's no.
Yeah, I
Easy.
think, one of the things I think that's important is to understand sort of the timing of, funds that we might borrow from the revolving fund, can we, for example, start repayment, some number of years after, we turn the system
Right.
on, or have
Yep.
some sort of a balloon
Deferred payment
refinancing, those
plan.
sorts of
Yep.
things.
Yep. All good questions, so. Alan, should we maybe open it up now in case people start wandering in here, and we'll sort of,
Yep, we could. I just want to go over two things. So as I mentioned to you all, we'll make this live with everyone in a moment. At 4 o'clock, I do have to drop, so I will, Claire, you are co-host. I can bump Sam, you to host, just to go over a couple commands, because once we're all done, you need to do two things. One is to stop the recording. I don't think we record executive sessions, correct?
No.
correct,
Okay, so you want to make sure you know where that command is. And the second is to lock the webinar to ensure that no one else can enter the webinar after you started executive session. And I want to make sure you know where that command is.
Perfect.
okay.
So
Are
you
you gonna
all,
share your screen and show us?
I can't share my screen because Zoom won't show its own controls. I'll just walk you through it.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So if you move your mouse down to the bottom tray of controls, you should see pause/stop recording. Do you see that?
On mine,
I don't see it on mine.
I have
Yes,
paused.
yep, there it is, yep, got it.
Yep, so that's all you're gonna press. Also in the upper right corner, you might see it. It looks like a little cloud with a red dot in it. You can hit
Yep.
pause up there. So that's easy. That's the easiest one. And secondly, if you don't see the white vertical participant panel, go ahead and click participants down below, and that
Yes,
will show up. Now, if you have inside there, there's panelists 6, that's
Yep.
us, and then attendees 0, because we haven't opened it up to them. If you are clicked on panelists, in the lower right corner, you should see a more button.
yes,
And if you click on more, it expands a menu upward.
yep,
Now you'll see about 4 or 5 items down. It says lock webinar. Now, right now that is checked on because we're locked. What we're going to do is I'm going to unlock it. That's going to let people come in. We do our thing. When you guys are ready to go to executive session, you're going to stop recording. Then you're going to go here and hit lock. And that
Yep.
means who's ever still in the meeting is going to stay in the meeting. And don't do this until our guests leave. But once
Yep.
it's locked, you're going to, anyone else is going to face the same fate that Brian did, where he couldn't get in until we unlocked it. So, and once you're there, then it's a private session, and you're good to go. Okay.
Perfect.
yep, private session, but we will have stopped recording at that point for the executive session.
Correct. It'll just be
Yeah,
who's ever
we-
here.
We do that before we lock the webinar. Is that the sequence? Okay.
Stop recording first. Yep. Wait for them to leave, then
Yep.
lock the webinar. Yep.
Got it.
I
Okay.
took notes.
Good.
All right. Al stepped away. Should we wait till he gets back, or should we just open it up anyway?
So got 5 minutes here, so let's stop and people may start coming in, so.
Okay, I will unlock it.
Good. Thank
And
you.
by the way, for anyone else who wants to see joining, you can click that participant panel and see it on the side. So that's not just for Sam and Claire, it's for anyone. So,
Yep.
all right, it is now unlocked. New participants can join, and we shall wait.
Okay. Good.
And we are
So
recording
anybody
still.
heard from Bob Moss? I don't know. I thought he might be joining us, but have not heard anything from him.
I have not
No.
heard.
Golf course
I
might
haven't.
still be open.
Might.
Sam, just to give you a heads up, I've got some things popping up at work as well, so I may need to bug out a little bit after 4 o'clock also, but I'll
Okay,
do my best to
okay,
keep the wolves at bay here.
Well,
okay.
as the new recording clerk, I'll make sure that I document appropriately.
Just to confirm, though, if that's the case, we'll have 3 people.
Yep.
Still a quorum.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. If we don't have a quorum, then we'll. do it.
Doesn't that just mean that we can't vote?
Correct. We can't meet even.
Oh, you can't even meet? No.
You need a quorum to meet, so.
Good afternoon, Senator Eldridge and others. I'll join twice. Looks like someone may have clicked on Al's link. So for the second Al Hamilton in the meeting where the camera's off, if that's you, Al twice, great. If not, we can get that name fixed.
There are two of me?
God help us.
Yes. We're blessed.
Yes. Yeah, don't tell my wife.
Oh, no,
All
I'm
right.
on.
So
There's.
for this, yep. So we've got two Senator Eldridge and others.
Yeah, we're-
If you wish, you can rename yourselves. If you're unfamiliar with how to do that, you can hover over your own little Hollywood square. Go to the upper right corner, click on the three dots, and then you should be able to see rename about halfway down. So if you want to change your name to let us know who's with us today. If you can't do that, you can just call out, let me know, and I can take care of it for you.
Yeah, can you help me with that?
Sure. I'm renaming to, is it Kate? Is that right?
I'm Kate.
Um,
I'm renaming myself.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay. Who was the one who needed the help? I'm sorry.
It's me, Joey Truman.
Joey Truman. Okay. Sorry. Rename.
Just so we introduce the
Okay.
other members, Joey is the newest member of our committee. He's a civil engineering student at UMass.
Great.
So he's going to design the whole system for us for free.
And operate.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you, Andrea, for renaming yourself as well. So we just have, I guess, the other one at the bottom, Senator Eldridge and others. And if that's indeed Senator Eldridge and others, then that's great.
Give a people another few minutes here. He was expecting folks from
Mhm.
DEP and
I was impressed at how many people
And
were on
other-
early.
we actually had a wastewater committee meeting at 3 o'clock to 3:30.
Oh,
We had a running start here.
Senator Eldridge sent me his link. I apologize if I'm not supposed to be here.
No,
No.
absolutely welcome. Thank you.
Mhm.
Glad you're here. Yeah,
I knew we had been trying to set something up, and when the senator mentioned it and our session ended early, I figured I'd give it a try.
Super, thank you.
You're welcome.
We had a little confusion around the links for this meeting, so if folks can rename themselves, I see Senator Eldridge there. He's in good shape, but we've got a cloned version of Senator Eldridge. It's a frightening
Hi,
concept.
Sam.
Hi,
Mark.
I started off as Senator Eldridge as well, a little bit of a height difference.
So for those unfamiliar in Zoom, to rename yourselves, you've got two choices. You can hover over your own little video square, and in the upper right corner, you'll see three dots. If you click on that, a new menu pops up. About halfway down is the word rename, and you can go ahead and take care of it that way. If you're having trouble, you can just call out to me, and I'm happy to help you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good to see everyone.
Great to be here. Thanks to everybody for being available. Let's give
we
people
still
maybe
have-
another minute. I think we're expecting at least 2 or 3 additional people, but we'll get moving shortly here.
All right, James, thank you for renaming yourself. I guess we have, is that Mark Purple?
Mark looks a lot like
it
Senator
is.
Eldridge.
Mark is still Senator Eldridge and others. Mark will take care of this for you.
Okay, appreciate that.
He's trying to promote himself, I think.
No, well, I'm not sure that's a good promotion though,
You
Sam.
better watch out.
Wait a minute.
It looks like everyone has a unique
Okay,
name.
I
That's
think
good.
we're basically here. So what we may get one or two more, but why don't we get started? First, welcome everybody. I'm Sam Stivers. I'm chair of the Southborough Wastewater Study Committee. Thanks to all for participating, in particular Senator Eldridge and his staff and Rep. Donahue to put this thing together. We requested the meeting, so I'll work to facilitate the process here. And I want to set the stage with a few comments, but first let's go around and introduce ourselves. I'll start and we'll streamline the process for our committee. I'll do our committee. I'm chair of the Wastewater Study Committee. I've served on the select board and a variety of other committees in town for a number of years. Brian Shea is our vice chair of the committee, a former select board member, an engineer who actually does wastewater work in his day job. So he's a huge asset to the committee here. Claire Reynolds is our clerk for the committee, and she's had long involvement in economic development in Southborough and has been involved in prior studies for wastewater locally. Al Hamilton was the original chair of this committee and is a current select board member. Alan Belniak is an engineer and a member of our planning board. Joe Truman, college student in engineering and looking to get on the ground floor of this project, which is a great experience. I think that, and Andrew Dennington, our select board chair, is here, and Mark Purple, our town administrator, is here. So I think that's our group. And next, we got Senator Eldridge staff members. If they could introduce themselves, that'd be helpful. Everybody knows the senator, of course, but a couple of staff members here, I think.
Hi, everyone. Megan Serino. I'm Senator Eldridge's Director of Constituent Services and Environmental Policy Advisor. And Ishan, if you want to just introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. I'm Ishan. I'm the environmental policy intern here at Senator Eldridge's office.
Okay, thank you. And we've got reps from the Mass DEP here. If they would introduce themselves, that would be good.
I'm Mary Jude Pigsley. I'm sorry, Robin, you go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead, Mary Jude.
Sure. Mary Jude Pigsley. I'm the regional director of the Mass DEP office for the Central Region in Worcester. Senator, lovely to see you twice this week.
I know, I was going to say, yes, great to see you. Thank you for always being available.
Not a problem. Jim?
Yep. Good afternoon. I'm Jim Lyons. I'm the Deputy Regional Director for the Bureau of Water Resources for Mass DEP in the Central Region.
And I'm Robin McNamara. I'm the Acting Director for the Division of Municipal Services at the Bureau of Water Resources.
Thank you. And we've got Clean Water Trust representative.
Good afternoon. My name is Nate Keenan. I'm the Department Director of the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust. Kaylin?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kaylin Felmuth. I'm a Senior Program Associate with the Trust.
Great, thank you. And we've got rep from the Wastewater Advisory Committee of the MWRA.
Hi, Andrea Downs. I'm the director of the Wastewater Advisory Committee to the MWRA.
Great. I think that's got everybody. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so at this point. Excellent. We requested this meeting for a simple reason. We have a local tax revenue problem. We don't have enough commercial tax revenue in town. And our location at Route 9 495 is a real underutilized development asset that's likely the only solution to this problem through creating new commercial tax revenue. Municipal wastewater treatment capacity, unfortunately, which we don't have any of, is a key to unlock this development potential. And we're looking for ideas to help us get that capacity installed in Southborough over the next future time. We know it's not going to be a quick solution, but we've started. And our key focus for today is to think about ideas of different ways of thinking about this than we've run into and we've been able to come up with previously, and particularly to find funding sources. Because again, we've had challenges in terms of local funding. We just had a big town meeting process where a major school project was voted down because of the cost. So going back to town meeting and the voters for additional money to front end a development like this is a major challenge. And so what the plan is for the meeting here is I've asked Al Hamilton to put together a few comments on where we've been over the last 6 months in our committee work here to set the stage, and then move into a discussion about how we deal with some of the issues that we don't have solutions to at this point. So Al, if you could share your screen and talk through that, that would be a good starting point. Okay.
Slideshow. All right, can you guys see the slides?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, very good. I'm going to talk fast because I'm known as a fast talker. Basically, we don't have a municipal wastewater system in the town of Southborough. Almost all of the properties use private septic systems. It's really the only community on Route 9 between Boston and Goshen, which is west of Springfield, without a municipal wastewater treatment system along Route 9. And we have seen that this is a significant barrier to commercial and industrial development. We need to increase our tax revenues as Sam had said, and because we're really seeing the burden of municipal government increasingly being shifted onto residents, which does not, nobody likes, particularly those folks that vote. And so our focus is to find a way to provide wastewater services along Route 9 to support our economic development. We've done a number of things over the last really about 9 months. We started informally in 2024, in the fall of 24, and the select board formally established a committee in February of 25. The select board has appointed 7 members. Sam has introduced them. One person we didn't introduce, who's not here, is Bob Moss, who's a major developer on Route 9, who's also advising us on this. And so we have current and former select board members, economic development staff, and civil engineers. So really, at least some of the folks here know what they're talking about, which is delightful. So we've had a number of previous wastewater studies that have helped us sort of understand potential feasibilities and potential flows. We've met with a couple of engineering consultants to sort of gather their input. We have explored the idea of a private wastewater operator. It's probably a big challenge. We've reviewed a number of sites for wastewater plants and discharge areas. We've met with several of the major Route 9 area developers who were quite positive. We met with the Mass DEP Central region, one of their representatives who would, helped us figure out sort of how to proceed. We've had a conversation with Framingham and the MWRA about the possible connections to the MWRA system. We've had conversations with our neighbors in Westboro who have their own system. We've briefed various town committees with to date, and then I gotta just so in terms of assessments and where we are right now, based on the feedback we've gotten so far, even though it would be the easiest and simplest way to proceed, it looks like connection to the MWRA is unlikely. Again, if you can change that, it would make our lives a great deal simpler. Connection to Westboro is also unlikely, other than for a couple of sites along the 495 border, which are grandfathered. One of the things we've learned is that when a municipality has wastewater capacity, it is a precious resource. Surface water discharge is not a practical option given the permitting requirements. And so we have, we do believe that it is possible to build a wastewater plant and groundwater discharge. It's technically feasible, and we have identified several sites. If we look at the Route 9 build out, again, very preliminary estimates are that our capacity needs would be in the 300 to 500,000 gallons per day at build out. It would be less to begin with. So we intend to continue to focus on potential locations within the town of Southborough, and our big hurdle is to figure out exactly how are we going to actually pay for this, or can we pay for this between sources of the town budget betterment fees. We're very interested in a DIF zone. We're obviously quite interested in grants. Most of the wastewater systems in the state were actually funded in the 70s and 80s with heavy federal subsidies, which seem harder to get these days, loans and any other sources of financing. So that's really where we stand. You know, we've been meeting, we've applied for a one-stop grant to get us some technical services. And we're now really looking at the edge of the cliff and saying, how do we actually pay for something like this? So that's the quick review.
Okay, thanks, Al. If you could stop sharing then we
Yeah,
can go back
let me,
to everybody.
yeah, there we go. Yep.
So again, you know, we I think gone through the usual questions here and connected with several of the represented organizations here. But the first question is there anything that you've heard here that strikes you that says, wow, why didn't these guys think of X, Y, and Z here when they went through the list of things they did? And then beyond that, we're interested in talking about potential funding, and the state revolving fund is clearly a big thing to investigate as far as we're concerned. We don't know too much about that in terms of the details, but we'd be eager to get any input that people care to suggest about how to proceed with that one as well. So first, any major revelations to say you missed a big one here? Any pots of money that people are aware of here?
I assume we could probably just go to the money tree.
Yeah, exactly.
End of the rainbow.
Yeah, exactly. And the front ending thing of payment, for example, if we've got some development projects in the pipeline that we think are going to generate incremental commercial tax revenue, but there's no money to pay for the initial funding. And so, for example, one of the things is that some of these loan funds, are there ways to front end the investment and defer repayment of the loan until some later point in time, or did you have to start repaying those loans relatively immediately after that? We don't know much about those details, so be interested in any input on that kind of thing.
I was curious, Sam, has the town ever applied for water infrastructure grants or to the Clean Water Trust, or?
We have not, because we need a project, I think, to do that. And we applied to the one-stop program for a design grant, and that's now in process. We should hear about that in October, I understand. And so at that point, we will have money to do the design. And then I think you take that kind of design to the other loan programs to get funding for it. But I would think that if we have a design, there are enough loan programs out there that there's maybe some opportunity there. But again, the question is, how soon do you have to repay those loans? And if we have to go to our taxpayers to start paying those loans back soon, that's a pretty steep hill to climb, I think. So.
Thank you.
Any comments about SRF specifically?
Yes, I would offer up to you that the SRF eligibility requirements would include having your collection systems, your sewer collection system, as well as a wastewater treatment plant. Right. So those would be eligible for SRF loans. And, you know, we would be able to talk to you in more specifics as you get further down into the details of what your project would be. We have an open public project solicitation period in the spring, which closes mid-July. As a matter of fact, the 2026 IUP period will close on Friday.
So we better hurry.
Well, no, you're not quite there yet. You know, once you're able to submit your project valuation form into that process, it would be reviewed and ranked and hopefully make the IUP for what we would have, you know, with available funding that's available during that period in time. And we would then move forward with the project with you. We'd assign a project engineer and be able to help you through the permitting processes and all of the steps in your loan application. And CIRO certainly, Mary Jude Shop would certainly be involved in that permitting process and be helpful with that as well. As far as the loan repayment, I would let my colleague Nate Keenan from the Clean Water Trust speak to that.
Traditionally, the loans do go into repayment about 2.5 to 3 years after they appear in an intended use plan. I think as you mentioned, you're still in the early planning phases, but we could talk more about that as you get into it. But yes, we would look for repayment. We would look to put in repayment when it's nearing the end of construction.
Okay.
We could work with the town on structuring the debt service, but there would be repayments due, because this is a revolving loan fund. That's how we get the funds in the door to make more loans in the future.
Right. Have you seen other towns that have been able to find ways to defer some of this repayment as they get up to speed in terms of getting users on new systems?
Not necessarily defer repayment, but I think with the idea going into it that it will go on the tax base at first, right? Because you do need to get it up and running. We can work on structuring debts, principal payments further out, but there will have to be a repayment stream at first. And usually with these as well, it will be a general obligation pledge of the community.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Which, again,
Sam,
would
if I
go to the
could,
taxpayers. Sure, Brian.
I again, Brian Shea, I know some of you from my day job where I have helped a number of communities through this process. But so, we were talking about repayment there, but even qualifying for the loans in the first place are going to require town meeting vote and an assurance that there is an appropriation in place to cover the loan, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think, before we, focus first on the repayment, in order to qualify for that type of loan, Sam, I think it is going to town meeting and making the pitch there to get approval for it.
Yeah.
Would approval be a 2/3 vote or a majority?
2/3.
Well, I think that would depend on whether it is
It's a borrowing.
Borrowing is usually
a borrowing would probably be a 2/3. Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be
it'd
my
probably be
guess.
2/3 and a vote at the ballot for a majority. So let me ask a couple of silly questions. There's sort of two stages before the first flush. The first thing is we actually have to design a system, which includes, a plant, a disposal area, and a collection system. And that's a process that's going to cost us some number of millions of dollars. And then there's the actual construction of the system. It sounded like the revolving fund was mostly focused on the construction. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I missed a part of what you had said. I don't know if I froze or you froze.
Oh, okay. So we sort of have two steps. One, we have to design a system, and that designing a system is going to cost some number of millions of dollars because it's, we got to design a collection network, a plant, and a disposal area. And then we actually have to construct the system. It sounded to me like the revolving fund was mostly focused on the construction side as opposed to the design side. Is that correct? Have I understood that correctly?
That is correct.
All
That
right.
is correct. We do have planning loans that we provide that if you needed to have planning assistance, which is not necessarily design, but if you needed planning assistance, you could apply for a planning loan. And SRF would be able to support that.
Okay, so right now there's no obvious source for rather, we'd have to go to the markets to borrow the money to actually design the facility as opposed to going to the state.
Yes, that's true.
You had another question, Al?
No, that was so can you just talk to us a little bit about the terms of the loan?
Yes. So our loans are 2% loans with a 15 basis point admin fee for 20 years. You can go out 30 years for the loan, and going out 30 years, the interest rate would increase a little bit based on market rate. It'd be the equivalent subsidy to a 2% loan at 20 years. So they are subsidized loans. And I believe I looked it up, but the town would not qualify for any loan forgiveness based on an affordability metric that we have.
Right.
So it would just be the base subsidized loan that's available.
Okay.
Now, for our school project, we actually, there was talk about extending the term for to 40 years through Mass School Building Authority. Is that something that is potentially going to happen with the SRF loan payment?
No, it is not. The max term is 30 years.
30, okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
That
Well, I'm going to ask the question I always want to ask, which is, we've been given to believe that there are capacity issues joining the MWRA, which still seems like the path of least resistance if it was possible. We had an opportunity 50 years ago to do it, and we passed. So is that door firmly closed at this point?
Yes.
I didn't
I
hear
don't
any
speak.
hesitation at all.
Yeah.
I don't speak for the MWRA, but I've watched enough board meetings over the last 11, 12 years to know that they can take small amounts, but nowhere near what you want. Now, you might want to look at what Bob Zimmerman proposed for Littleton.
Yep.
A digester system where you also add food and use the gas to power your enterprise district or whatever you're going to call your commercial area. But while he proposed that for Littleton, I don't know if they got that financed.
I can speak to that. The Littleton project did not turn out to be that. The Littleton project turned out to be a sewer system. Nothing fancy associated with it. It's a groundwater discharge permit. They've had some struggles finding an area large enough to accommodate all of the growth, 495, all of the growth that they want to accommodate through that special district that was created through legislation. It's a specific sewer district that was intended to sewer the town center, and then got expanded a little bit. But that clean energy, groundwater recharge idea fell by the wayside.
I think it just didn't pencil out, to be honest.
How did
And then we learned about PFAS.
Yes.
Right.
How did Littleton fund that project, Mary Jude? The development of it. Basically the taxpayers approved the payment?
That I don't know, Maria. Did they go through the SRF for that sewer project?
I'm not quite sure exactly which one you're referring to.
It
We
would
do
have a name.
Littleton.
It would
Littleton
have a
Common.
name like 550 King Street would be.
Yeah,
be
I
the
think they
name.
did. I think they did.
Yes, yes, yeah,
I represent Littleton too, so yep.
yes.
But again, where did they get the initial money to build the project before the financing?
I think there was a town meeting vote
Mm-hmm.
to appropriate the money for the design. Not positive. You could reach out to the why am I blanking on Nick's last name? Nick Milano is the Littleton Electric Light Water Department. I'm sorry. Yes, thank you.
Nick Lawler, yeah. Littleton Water District is quite, robust and advanced in building water infrastructure. I'm happy to connect you, but yeah, I mean, I will just say the power of a water district, and I don't know if has Southborough ever considered that in the past to have your own water district.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we've got, again, MWRA water, and so we've got basically town is on MWRA water, but not as a specific district that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Okay, other examples of communities like Littleton Project, for example, that are doing this kind of thing at this point that might be useful for us to talk with at this point.
Yes. We are doing sewer build out and wastewater treatment plant development all over Cape Cod right now. And they are starting with no ratepayer base. So they're looking at the similar concerns that you have. If you'd like, I can put you in touch with a few communities down there.
That would be terrific. Yeah.
Okay.
Very
Yeah, we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Yes, and they've gone through our process. I mean, they're doing like a couple $100 million worth of work in each community for this. And so they've been able to finance it through us. And I can put you in touch. Orleans would be a good example. I'll give you contact information for the town of Orleans.
Thank you. Very helpful. Are there other programs other than the ones we've talked about here that we might look into for financing for this kind of thing? We've looked around and haven't found much. And as Al mentioned earlier, the federal government doesn't seem to be a source these days for much of anything. So that's discouraging, but reality.
Yeah, no, I think our agency does the most water financing in the state.
Yeah. Yeah, just to follow up on Andrea's comments, we've talked with the MWRA, actually talked with Becky Weidman and a couple others there who have explained the limitations on that. And there's capacity at Deer Island, but getting the wastewater to Deer Island is the constraint in there. So
I think actually the issue is capacity at Deer Island as well. Because some of the CSO communities are talking about further separation, and they're saying, you know, you could only do it if you could phase it in after the rainstorms, significantly after the rainstorms. The system hits its 1.2 billion gallons a day capacity in storms all the time. In dry periods, of course, that's not a problem, but it's never the dry periods that you really need sewers.
Yeah. And we've talked to some of the engineers about storage and then metering more slowly there, but that doesn't seem to be a very attractive option at this point either. So
yeah, that would have to, you'd have to look into the costs of that because that is significant.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. All comes back to perfect hindsight. We missed the boat 50 years ago and continue to pay the price, unfortunately. So,
moral of the story, never pass up those deals. Deer Island should never have, you know, the state should never have passed up the federal government's subsidies back when it was subsidizable that way. And everyone else got their sewer systems paid for, and we had to take it out of ratepayer dollars.
I didn't mention it, but my husband was a career employee of DEP, working largely with wastewater, and I heard about that Deerwater decision for the Saul's decision back then for many, many years, and what a bad decision it was. And while I've got the microphone, when I didn't want to speak for the town of Westboro when people were talking about seeing if if Westboro had capacity, but the answer you got was not unexpected to me.
Yep. Yep. I mean, they're friendly, but they've got a lot of development going on, and again, they don't have much extra capacity. So
exactly.
We talked to Marlboro as well, as a matter of fact, because they process for Northborough, and again, they have got pretty full capacity and are not thinking about expanding much at this point. So we're again trying to pursue all venues here, but have not come up with any great solutions. So that actually goes through the list of questions. Any other comments people have about other ideas that we might consider pursuing? We'll certainly follow up with some of the other projects going on people have mentioned here to look for additional ideas. But I think for now, at least, it remains pretty critical for us to find a source of additional revenue. And until all doors are shut, I think we're inclined to keep pushing as hard as we can to continue to look for options here.
This isn't really related, but other than additional revenue, how is the current system working for your residential? Do you have many issues with, failures of
not huge pressure. I mean, we had an opportunity, we did some rezoning in the downtown area recently, and we're trying to think about a small wastewater plant for downtown. And it turned out there were like 1 or 2 failing systems down there, so the residents did not want to pay for a wastewater system. Weston put in a small plant in downtown area, and they had many failing systems, and so they got the residents to pay for most of that, which was a great solution. But we have not had that opportunity here yet, as far as I'm aware. So,
Yeah.
Brian, you have a comment?
Yeah, so I was going to ask to Nate, and maybe others know. It seems over the years, the intended use plan has been able to fund a very significant number of projects in the Commonwealth, and a lot of municipalities and agencies have benefited from that. And I'm just curious if, with the political climate in, say, the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, whether there's any anticipated changes in funding level. Do you anticipate being able to continue moving forward at pretty much the same pace?
So taking the Trump administration aside for a second, we are running out of our last few years of the bipartisan infrastructure funding that is really ramping up the amount of money we have to put out the door. So as that winds down, we will reduce the amount of loans we're putting out just naturally because of the amount of money that that funding was providing to us. With what's going on now, it's the projected budget is not looking great. But we are working on ways internally to counter that. And then also the environmental bond bill did just come out that looks very favorable for water infrastructure in the state. So the state is stepping up to support us. And so we're doing everything we can to keep levels somewhat consistent year over year. Yep. But yeah, the massive challenges at the federal level.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Hope for a miracle, but don't expect it. So unfortunately.
Sam?
Yes.
Yes. So if there's time, I got a quick follow-up question for Nate, if you
Sure.
could indulge us. So I am familiar with the towns on the Cape, right? All of them, or a lot of them, racing to build sewer at the same time. Do they have some form of financial assistance for that that's not available to us, or that makes them not comparable? Because I know there was a lot of publicity about their situation that brought attention to it, and I think of ours as a situation a little different.
It is different in one regard. They were able to pass a law that created a additional subsidy fund that they would earn a tax off of short-term rentals. So
okay.
That is going to pay for a portion of their costs, but still we're talking, they're able to provide about a 25% subsidy on their projects, but they're still taking on 200 million, 250 million.
Okay.
In the first phase to build out the wastewater plant.
Because those are really covering like the entire towns and mostly residences, whereas what we're thinking about is really focused commercial.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
They're looking to do a lot of the watersheds. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that again is very helpful. Disappointing that there's not some wonderful solution that we haven't run across yet, but we will keep noodling about it and continue to look at it. And again, we are very grateful for folks' participation here, particularly to our legislators for helping make this happen. And we will follow up with several of you from comments here. So again, we appreciate your help today. And I'd ask the committee members, Brian, Al, and Joe to Claire to stay on. We got a couple of follow-up items and the rest of the folks can sign off. So thank you again. Appreciate your help today.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you to all the municipal
Thank you all.
officials, and thanks for all the partners. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. So Claire, can you lock the webinar?
We have to first vote to enter into executive session.
Not
I don't think just yet.
we're not in
First of all, we
executive
have
session yet. First lock
Um,
the webinar, then we can do the vote.
okay, but I think we have to,
Stop
stop
recording.
the recording.
Actually,
before
first,
locking.
let's vote first.
Okay.
So I'll move we enter executive session for the purpose of considering purchase of property exemption 6 under the open meeting law. We have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Stivers, yes. Hamilton,
Aye.
Reynolds, Blair,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Aye.
Jay,
Aye.
and Truman.
Aye.
Okay, thanks. All right, so we're in executive session now. We can lock the webinar.
Okay, so the
Stop recording.
recording has